Alright everyone, hey, Micah Carter here, just doing a quick video on just a few tips for playing guitar, really, just in terms of really how to find the key that your song is in, and how to match tones, and how to basically just try to match the style of music that you're playing. Right now you can hear a track playing in the background. It's just some random kind of mellow, chill-out music type of mix. You know, let's just say I want to discover the key that it's in, and once you get really kind of tuned into your ear better, you probably get an idea that a lot of songs are in a few of the major keys, like the key of C or the key of G, for example. So you might try some of those most common keys first. But if we just take this third fret of our E string, in this case our low bassed note E string, and also you take the third fret of our high E string. Either way, it's going to be the same notes, it's just different octaves, because they're both E strings to start, right? They're both E notes. Both of those strings are E strings, just a couple of octaves apart. But either way, if we take the third fret and we started out there, that would be a G note. And in this case, you can hear the G note kind of has a timbre that seems to ring right with the song. So it kind of tells me that that's probably, and I can tell you most definitely, it's one of the notes of the key of the song. So, meaning that we already know at least one definite note of the song, which is the key, the note of G. And in fact, we can already tell kind of that it sounds like what we call a root note. You know, the song kind of returns to this tone a lot. You may not be able to tell this right away, but if you play around with that note, you can tell. It's kind of a bass note for the song, a particular root note that's commonly played. So I might be able to say that this could be in the key of G. And in order to derive the key of G, I need to understand the scale of notes, the Western scale of music, which involves a pattern of half notes, or what I should call half steps and whole steps. What a half step is on a guitar is just one fret of difference anywhere you're at. If you go up a half step, it's one fret. If you go up a whole step, it's two frets. And if you go down a half step, it's one fret. Down a whole step, it's two frets. So, just kind of give you an idea of real quickly what a half step and a whole step means. And in different instruments that might manifest itself in different ways. In this case, we're on a guitar and we're talking about frets. But anyway, so if I take that G note, and if I know already that the standard Western system of music uses what's called a major scale, meaning that the system of half steps and whole steps is set up in a certain pattern. Now in this case, we're starting out from the G note. We're talking about a G major scale, which would mean what we call a pattern of 2 whole steps, 1 half step, 3 whole steps, 1 half step. At the end of that pattern, you're at a G note again, but you're 1 octave higher. Octave meaning 8 notes, meaning that next G note up is your 8th note, or the first note of your next octave, depending on how you look at it. So anyway, we start out from the G note, go up a whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. Now we're at G note again. So that's our G note. It's the same with any string. This is a G note here, this is a G note here. See, we can hear that's a pretty common note in the song. So like I said, in G major seems to be the key it sounded like it's in. So I can play around with the key of G major. If I know my scales, I could maybe try from this third position, playing down the strings in what we call the Ionian mode, which you can research a little bit. That Ionian mode is your first mode of any major scale. In this case, the key of G, right? Starting out from the G note. Whole step, half step, half step, half step. Whole step from the G note. Whole step, and this is an A and a B note. And then a half step, a C note. Whole step, D note. Whole step, E note. Another whole step, in this case, F sharp, and then a half step to G, right? Now, if we were to just take that and go down the strings, we need to know the pattern and kind of the differentials between each string. So in this case, instead of going from G, whole step to A, whole step to B, we're going to go G, A, B. Now this note right here, the second fret of the second string, is a B note, of course. And if that B note is the same as this B note, which obviously kind of gives us an idea of how we tune a guitar, we tune it to the 5th fret. Now if we moved up that string 2 frets and this string 2 frets, we're going to be on B notes. It's going to be the same as right here, we're on A notes. But if we move that one up 2 frets, like I said, we'll be on a B note. We're skipping a B flat, right? We're going to a B. That B note is also right down there. So if we know that, we can just basically transfer those whole step, half step, whole step pattern down the strings. And we can go. See, now we have our Ionian mode of the G, the key of G. Right, in this case, the G scale, G major scale. And if I just play around those notes, as long as they all sound like they fit into the key, I'm probably right that that's the right key. I can go ahead and play around with that key in the song. And I can even get my ear used to finding more of the notes in the key on different strings. So, it's just an idea here. So let's say, say we take that G. I'm not like used to playing to the song and the style per se and all that, you know, it's a little relaxed for me, but you can kind of get the idea. Right here I'm playing in what's called Lydian mode of the key of G. That means I'm starting out on the 4th note of the key, which like I said is the key of G. So the first note in the key of G is obviously G. The second note in the key of G being A, the third note being B, the 4th note being C. So when we say C mixolydian, we're really playing in the key of G, but we're starting out from the C note. And being that that C note is the 4th note in the key of G, we can basically start out the same. We're starting out from still doing the same pattern as the key of G, but we're starting at the 4th note right here. So this is actually going to end up with 3 whole steps starting from C. Because we're playing in the key of G still, right? So C, B, E, F sharp, G again. That last half step to G. And of course, whole step, half step. It would keep going all the way up. Now remember, just keep in mind that that octave is always half of the string that you're starting out at. So if you're starting out with an E note on the E string, that 12th fret is exactly half of the string. That's the reason why it's an exact octave higher, exactly twice the frequency. So it matches up, it's the same note, really, but an octave higher. So it's just an idea on how to kind of understand your octaves better and the structure of notes in a key. Now remember, if you know the names of the strings, and what you really want to know is the 12 main notes of a not just a key, because the key only has certain notes out of those 12 major tones. Those 12 particular tones, what we call semitones or chromatic tones, right? So like if you start out on any string and we just go a half step up the whole way, we're not necessarily playing in a key, but we are playing each note of the 12 chromatic notes of the Western system of music. Now you can go in between those and make notes that are in between them and everything, but if you want to have even wavelengths that match up harmoniously according to the study of Westernized music, now, that's not the only thing to study, but if you're understanding that basically all songs fit into these pattern of keys, that they can have augmentations and variations that typically what we might associate with many different kind of more diverse cultures, but they generally all boil down to the harmonies of different notes being able to coincide in frequency, right? Now, they can't coincide in frequency, it's not going to be harmonious. So that's the reason why we look at breaking the string up, in this case, half. Now if we were to do other, and then we can do a harmonic right there, right, by barely touching right above the fret. So you can play the note fully, or we can play a harmonic. Or you can do a 7th fret, that's a 3rd of the string. Or you can do the 5th fret, that's a 4th of the string. A 4th. Halfway between the the first, the open, and the 12th fret is the 5th fret. That's a 4th of the string. Like I said, the 7th fret would represent a 3rd of the string. So these are your different harmonics. Understanding how the harmonics work and how to make a harmonic. But anyway, there's just a few quick little tips there on how to find a key and some of the notes you do really want to study on different modes of your guitar to understand, how to play different areas of the fretboard while still staying in the same key. Like if I want to stay in the key of G. Down the fretboard. I'm not like playing nothing great, but I'm just giving you the idea of how to kind of learn how to play all over the fretboard. You learn your 7 modes, a mode that goes to each of the notes within an octave, which are 8 notes out of the 12 chromatic notes. Now you can have different scales, pentatonic scales, which means only 5 notes, but there's still, overall, 8 notes can be played within a song. It's just if you want to play a blues lick, you might just play a blues scale. So, like, that's going to have an extra augmented chromatic note in there, in between. But, really, that minor scale, overall, that blues minor scale, is really derived out of a major scale that coincides with it. In this case, we're talking about an A minor in the 5th position, playing what we call a minor pentatonic scale. And we can even maybe add the bluesy stuff into it. Has an extra note in there. It's a chromatic note. But really that's derived, that A minor scale was really derived from a C major scale, which is what we call the Ionian mode, starting from the key of C, or the note of C. And that all goes back to the whole step, half step, whole step, half step pattern, which you want to study and research and learn about. The chromatic notes, the 12 notes. Once you know the 12 notes and you understand the whole step, half step patterns and all that, you can play all over the fretboard. So please leave me some comments and some likes, and certainly I appreciate you subscribing to my channel. I might be leaving some more lessons that can come up to help, but let me know if you did pick up something from this, a little bit of a lesson. And I know it's pretty kind of generic and kind of all over the map, but hopefully it gives you a little bit of an idea of how to better understand your entire fretboard within hopefully just a few minutes. Now you can kind of derive it from there. You want to go back and find out what those 12 notes are. They can have different variations of how they're labeled. If I start out from an E string and I go F, and I go F sharp. F sharp could also be known as a G flat. Sharp is one half step up, or a chromatic note up. A flat is a half step down, right? So the half steps, they're important to understand how your major scales fit within those 12 chromatic notes. So like I said, I appreciate you leaving me some comments and watching this video, and certainly encourage you to check out some other videos I'm going to have, maybe, and certainly, like I said, encourage you to subscribe to the channel, and appreciate you taking the time to listen. You have a good one. Bye-bye.